Oh, what's going on, everybody? Christian Piles impression here from me. It's David Bray. To my right, John Kozak. And in Wisconsin, Ben Askren joining us on the call. It's episode 787, which is not only a wide-bodied airliner, but the area code for Puerto Rico. And it's fitting because it's Pan Am week.
Yep, wrestling starts tomorrow, continues through Sunday, so it should be fun.
So happy Pan Am week to all the Puerto Ricans and everybody else in the entire world.
Is Seabass going? He's a Puerto Rican.
Yeah, 65.
Nice. Ethan Ramos?
One of the Ramos brothers. I think it is Ethan.
Yeah.
At 86. Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. So we got plenty of people to be celebrating on 787. It's a day without Shane, so that's too bad. But that's
What are you
okay.
doing today?
I don't know what Shane's doing. We'll try to surveil him a little later on. Little news yesterday, Jaden Cox accepted his Final X spot. We thought that was coming. He's wrestling 92 kilos at Pan Am, so it makes sense that he's going to be 92 kilos for Final X, and he is. So there's one puzzle piece that's missing. We got a Gable Steveson shaped hole in the puzzle. We'll find out. Should be today. He has to accept his bid by 6:30 p.m. Eastern time today, May 4th.
It's 5:30 in case the Minnesotans are not good with time change. It's 5:30 our time, guys.
5:30. But if he accepts, I don't know if that means we'll find out today. That might just mean USA Wrestling finds out today. I hope that tomorrow we know one way or the other whether he has accepted his bid. It's maybe the biggest thing that can happen today on May 4th. So really hope he's in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
That would be nice for Team America.
yeah, that'd be very, very good. We talked U.S. Open all day yesterday, but we did not even get to U17s. So we got a lot of weights to look at. So much cool stuff happened. And then after we look at the weights, I think it'd be a good idea to pull up that old 2024 big board, because those kids, the sophomores, going to be juniors, they're going to be getting phone calls in the next couple of months. Some of them had some real impressive performances, and they just raised their stock, and others maybe not. So it'd be good to talk about that.
Yeah.
As well.
I couldn't believe because obviously I was coaching very busily, and I got the chance to go back and look at brackets. And I know I did this with juniors one night, but I did it last night. It's like, I remember seeing the list that Flo put out of who's all going at these weight classes,
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the placement matches, and you're like, oh, that kid must not have showed up. That kid must not have shown up. And then you go back and look at the brackets, you're like, oh, wait, he went like 2-2. How did that guy go 2-2? Like I was looking at 55. Who was it? 55. Kilkiri didn't place. There was someone else who lost. Oh, Leo DeLuca lost out early.
Yes.
Davino's path was ridiculous. His path was. Hold on, let me find it. His path for the tournament. Oh man, I clicked on the wrong match. His path to the tournament. So first round, kind of easy dude. Second round, he had Kilkiri. Third round, he had DeLuca. Fourth round, he lost to Forrest. Then he had Gage Walker. I don't know. And then Dragon Arene, Kale Lauritsen, and then Kale Peterson.
That's insane. And he ended up third.
It's absurd. Yes.
Very crazy. Kilkiri, you brought him up. He went 3-2, lost to Davino.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's no slouch. And then on the backside, lost to Noah Ninninger, who's a tough guy from Virginia. This tournament was a complete meat grinder.
And then 51, I remember Nathan Desmond didn't place, and then there was some other kid. I think it was who beat him. Di Gennaro, and I didn't really know him, so I started looking him up, and he got him ranked like 9th, and then he lost out the next round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that the weight classes fall, we talked about it last time. I mean, you have high school weights, you squish them into 14 weights, squish them into 10 for this tournament, but then also 6 of the 10 weight classes, 60% of the weights are 143.5 pounds or lower. So then like all those kids that are concentrated in there, how many weights are how many weights are there between 106 and 145? It's like 7 weights, I think, crunched into 6.
Yeah.
And then the other 7 weights are
well, but then you also got you have 99, which is before the high school weight classes. So then, it's actually less because you take that one off the board, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So then those upper weights, those were very, very tough as well. Some guys that did, I mean, Gabe Arnold didn't place. Some really good guys that we expected to certainly be on the podium did not place in this tournament. PJ Duke, Gabe Arnold, you mentioned Nate Desmond, Vinny Kilcurie. It's unbelievable how deep these brackets were.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know if there's anything too crazy at 45 kilos. These are the guys that we're going to be talking about soon, but in a lot of times, these are the weights that have junior high guys that are going to make a big impact soon. Dominic Mutarello, Hakan Peterson, both 8th graders, going to be 9th graders next year. Peterson's listed as Seabolt, but he lives in Wisconsin. What's up with that, Ben?
They drive a very long way. I guess they believe in TJ Seabolt.
Yeah. So how far would his drive be if he was an AWA guy? One of your locations.
It would be less. I told his parents it'd be a wise decision, but they don't believe it.
Okay. Well, he was in the finals. Munaretto, Illinois kid, very tough. I don't know what to say, but
I don't know what to say about it either.
It's good. It's good to have competition. It's good to have clubs that are you're seeing multiple guys from those clubs doing well and in the finals and things like that.
Especially in the lightweights, they do have a lot of good guys.
Yeah, that's true. So 45. Yeah, these are guys to pay attention to for the future, but they're not a lot of the names that we've already been saying or that we're super familiar with. But 48 kilos, I thought the final was really interesting. Christian Castillo, one of 2 Valiant Prep guys who is now on this cadet world team, and that's a hard thing to do. One school putting 2 guys on this team is basically unheard of. And the other thing, and we've talked about this, looks like we lost Ben, but I think he'll be back. I have a feeling. The other thing that's really impressive about Valiant Prep is just the success that they have year after year in freestyle, international style specifically. And Christian Castillo is a guy who is that example. He is on now both the Greco and freestyle cadet world teams, and beat Seth Mendoza, who was the favorite for sure.
Yeah, and that match, actually both of those matches, they played out kind of similarly in that Mendoza took an early lead and Castillo was able to come from behind, kind of figure it out. And that reverses 2 previous matches, right? Where, or maybe it was just one where Mendoza beat Castillo last year in the Fargo finals. So yeah, I know you've talked about Valiant Prep a bunch, but I think their story is one that maybe a lot of people don't know as much about, maybe just the casual wrestling fan. But I've been just really, really impressed and just wanting to hear more about what's going on over there.
I think you're gonna have an opportunity to hear more. We're cooking some stuff up with those guys at Valiant Prep. But yeah, people don't know. They are a wrestling school in Arizona. Every student that attends the school is a wrestler, and they're not eligible to compete in Arizona State Championships or national preps or any kind of state or high school season sequence, but they do this. They train for the best tournaments. They go to national level stuff, and they tend to have success. So it's a school that you're going to hear more and more about, and I think you're going to see other schools like Valiant Prep pop up where, Valiant Prep is not, they're not manipulating any governing body, and you'll hear other places where people are upset. They're annoyed that there's recruiting or that they're whatever, things that are going on in this school that are against the rules of their governing body. Well, they don't have a governing body. They have to be accredited to make sure kids get degrees and that their classes count and stuff like that. But in terms of wrestling, they don't have a governing body. They have just the ability to go wrestle whoever they want, whenever they want, and so it's an interesting model. They've kind of, if you take yourself out from under the governance of any state organization or whatever, you can kind of train the way you want, compete the way you want, and you're seeing that it's paying off for some of these guys.
Yeah, for sure. Gonna move up to 51.
Yeah,
Anything
well,
else?
before
48.
I'm curious for. I think Ben's going to be back. I'm curious for his thoughts on 48. But when you look at the rest of the podium at 48 kilos, there are some names that are worth mentioning. A couple Iowa guys. Drew Ayala, who is the brother of Drake Ayala, Iowa freshman, was 4th, and then Jake Knight was 6th. Those are 2 Seabolt guys. Mentioned at 45. Haken Peterson, another Seabolt guy who was in the finals. And then Carter Pearson at 45 was 3rd. So between those 2 weight classes, between 45 and 48, there are 16 spots in the podium. 4 of those spots belong to Seabolt guys. So Ben brought up, hey, well, they like the lightweight partners at Seabolt, the Petersons do. It makes sense. They have a lot of good partners. 4 guys in these first 2 weight classes on the podium is it's quite impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing to point out at 48 kilos, Mac Mauger of Idaho. He's part of an Idaho group that is having more and more success. We're going to see some of these Idaho guys in the on these national stages for a while. So yeah, I think those are some of the main things. Oh, another name that you're going to want to watch out for from 48 kilos, an 8th grader who's going to be a freshman next year, Tyler DeCraker. He is headed to Blair Academy next year. He and his brother Billy are going there, and so you're going to start to see him, and you'll want to get familiar with him. He wrestled U15s as well, had a lot of success there, but was 7th at the U17 division. So good stuff. Last year, I think wrestlers had to pick one or the other, U15 or U17. I don't think they could do both, but apparently that was not the rule this year. All right, 51 kilos. This was a bracket that we were talking about a lot leading into it. Bo Bassett, Luke Lillidahl. We knew they were going to be separated. 2 returning world medalists. Everybody was looking forward to this matchup, and I think a lot of people were maybe surprised how it ended up playing out in the best of 3 series. Kozak, you were there up close. What'd you see? Looks like Ben's back, and maybe
Ben's outside.
He's outside.
I'm so annoyed. Why is my internet suck so bad?
I don't know.
I need a flow tech to come out.
We got to get Ollie up there for you.
Yeah, he's the guy. Hey,
not good.
Not good. Hey, we were looking at the podium at 45 and 48, and you mentioned Seabolt with good lightweight partners. They have 4 guys on the podium at those 2 weight classes. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, the Castillo, though that one man, he looks so skinny and he's so tough.
Yeah, and he's got a great haircut too.
Oh my God, the world-class mullet.
It's really
for
good.
sure.
Yeah, Castillo. He's just, especially when it's freestyle season, that guy, or Greco, he made both teams. That guy is he's super tough. I liked watching him wrestle. I don't know, Seth Mendoza, pretty solid, really hard to score on, but Castillo was able to figure it out.
Yeah, he was. I like Castillo a lot, and his haircut is it's awesome.
Incredible. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen him, he's got just incredible mullet. Very good. But we were about to talk 51 kilos because it was the returning world medalist, Lillidahl, Bassett, and I picked Bassett. I was wrong. Luke Lillidahl, we mentioned, last week, Anthony Knox found kind of the template. If you're going to wrestle Bo Bassett, get to his legs as often as possible, force wrestling positions, force scrambles, and good things can happen. And that was what Lillidahl did. I mean, he was in on the leg as often as possible. What'd you see in that match, Ben?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say it's Flo's fault, but because I had this feeling too that Bo Bassett was untouchable, and obviously we kind of forget he's so young and maybe he's going to need some more time to develop. Luke Lillidahl, oh my God! I remember watching him in Northern Plains last year, and I actually didn't think he was that great. I watched him against Bo Bassett, and I'm like, oh my God, this kid is so freaking good. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And his speed to the leg is one of the things I think sets him apart.
A decent portion of the scores were down block go behinds, right? Where he would get Bassett down and then attack an angle and then attack the leg from there.
Yeah. Yep. So he's able to move to the leg, and then but just there's no time. I mean, the whistle blows, and he's immediately attacking. And
Yeah.
Bassett's game plan is a lot of ham fighting, and Bassett likes to snap. He likes to push guys around, and just Lillidahl took that off the table for him.
Yeah. No, that was very impressive. I know I was impressed with Lillidahl at Super 32 last year. They're even more impressed now. I mean, holy moly, what he did was ridiculous. Yeah, because those two are kind of a little bit above everyone else in that bracket. But that was a good weight in those good finals matchups. And Lillidahl, I mean, I got to assume, given what he did, he's going to go home with a Cadet World Gold.
It seems like it. I mean, and it's a tough weight internationally. 51 kilos, has a lot of good guys. Jezroga was bronze in this weight last year, but Lillidahl silver last year at 48, and he looks like a world champ right now for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it does make you think about the two, like Anthony Knox and Lillidahl wrestled last year, right at who's number one.
Yes,
and Knox kind of controlled. Like, it was a pretty controlling victory, if I'm remembering that right. So it does make you kind of wish Knox would have showed up.
Does Knox just not do freestyle, or what's his deal?
Oh no, he's all in on freestyle, but I think
so why did he show up?
So what we heard is that he just has been training, cutting weight, competing a lot, and he wanted some time to focus on training and not competing or cutting weight, and that.
Oh man,
now
you're getting me fired up, Mr. Bray, because this is where I go off on the parents who push their kids too hard when they're younger.
Yeah,
because it's like, dude, this is the time we get serious. This is the time we don't miss shit.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to skip stuff when you're 13, skip all of it. Who cares? 14, maybe you're getting a little serious. But when you're trying, so these are essentially by birth, you're 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. They'll turn that sometime in this calendar year. This is the time where we're trying to get serious. We weren't trying to get serious when they're 12 or 13. And if you grinded them to the point where they don't want to compete or they don't want to cut weight, then you've done it a little bit wrong. And it's hard to say with a kid like that because he's so freaking good. Yeah. It's hard to say you did it wrong. But, I mean, we're talking the Cadet World Championships is a really big deal. And you say, nah, I pass. Like, man, that's a hard pill for me to swallow. Let's not push these kids when they're younger. But then when they're trying to make a Cadet World team, it's time to go. We're, likely 16 or 17-year-old by birth year. That's kind of getting old, and it's time to get after it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you on that. With a kid like Knox in particular, I mean, look at the majors that he's hit this year. It's like one Fargo, one Super 32. New Jersey is a state tournament season that's tough. So I don't feel like that's a guy, and him specifically, I don't feel like he's somebody who's ducking out on stuff. And so
I'm not saying ducking. I'm saying literally lacks. I mean, maybe we're talking rumor, but you said not. I'm not saying ducking. I'm saying lacks the desire.
Sure.
And obviously, unless it's an injury, probably lacked the desire. Else he would have been there. I mean, this is like, and even I would say, like I don't let any of our middle school kids. I don't let them. I advise them not to compete until like January because I want them wrestling through like Northern Plains and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe if you have that desire to not make weight or whatever, then skip the fall stuff. Right. This is Cadet Worlds is important. It is a really, really big deal. Junior Worlds, really big deal. This is the time we get serious.
Yeah.
I think speaking on the Knox side of things, I think he does have another year where he could go to Cadet Worlds. Mm-hmm. I think he's still only 16 right now. So I don't know from what I hear about him. I don't think it's a desire issue for him.
Okay.
I think he really does love. I think he loves the sport. I think he loves training. I think he loves competing.
Yeah.
I just think it was like a this year type thing, timing, that he felt like he could develop more right now than just go to compete. But I hear what you're saying for sure.
I don't know, and obviously we're speaking off conjecture, so I can't say them right in this circumstance at all. But yeah, I mean, this is one where it's like, especially if you're someone like that, I would say skip the rest of the season. Skip Fargo. right?
Sure.
If you get a chance to make a cadet team, go make a cadet team and skip the rest of the things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Some of these guys, though, I mean, you see some of these guys show up, have performances that leave you scratching your head, and I don't know, there's a handful of guys that wonder maybe they'd been better off if they hadn't gone, or if they had, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you for sure. I also think that kid in
Yeah, I think that's
particular, I'm not worried about
coach
him.
and parent looking at. I mean, this is where I guess the hot button issue. Like when you're looking at a kid's development, you look at over the course of their career, you look at the whole thing, right? So this is why I'm saying like 5 through 12 or 13. Like I don't really care if you guys go anywhere at all. Like don't spend your parents' money, don't spend your parents' time. Like just train, practice, do the local things. And then when you start getting older, if you're good and you're serious, this is where you should get to a lot of stuff. And then so you're looking at playing a whole career, but then you're looking at playing a whole season. And with some of the better kids, it's like, like Mitchell Messenbrink, for example. We had a bunch of kids go to Folkstyle Nationals, but it's like, hey, Mitchell, I know you're going to be challenging to make the cadet or the junior team. So let's skip Folkstyle Nationals, no competition in March after high school state, and then go to Journeyman so you get some freestyle matches first, and then junior, and now had he not made the team, we were going to go to a few more things, but now are not made the finals, but now we're going to skip those because he's in the junior world finals. So, I mean, I think like there's and again, I have no idea with Anthony Knox. This is just conjecture, but like this should be one of if you're a really high level. So if you're not high level, probably honestly skip UWW cadets because you're going to get smashed because it's really good. But if you're really, really good, like this should be one of, if not the top thing on your schedule every single year.
Yeah, for sure.
Like maybe number one, honestly.
Yeah. I mean,
you can,
you can see why. I mean, you can see the kind of kids that are here, and so it makes a ton of sense. So we didn't get to see him. Some guys that were there, we mentioned Nate Desmond, 5th in the country. He was in this bracket, went 1 and 2. Crazy. Cooper Hilton was 5th. He's ranked 7th, and then a couple guys. Lilidol was ranked at 120. Obviously, he won it. He's down now at kind of the 113 range. DeGennaro was 9th at 106. He's up and didn't place, which is crazy. Anybody else stand out with a performance at 51 that surprised you or that you thought was pretty impressive? I know one guy you're probably going to mention.
Well, the 2 California kids that beat my guy, they were really good. And I looked; they were not on the rankings yet, but they were good wrestlers. So I didn't really know them. And when I don't know them, I was kind of trying to look them up, see it. When I'm watching them, I'm like, damn, these guys are good. So I go see if they're actually good, and usually they're pretty good. But you guys didn't have them in the rankings, so I was impressed by both of them.
Yeah, Edwin Sierra was ranked at 106, and then fell out of the rankings when he moved up to 13. He was just like right outside. But he's tough. I mean, he won the Northwest Regional, was 4th in California this year at 106. Very tough. And then the other guy
might be an 8th grader.
Yeah, that's why he's not ranked. That's why he's not ranked. He's in 8th grade. But I mean, Kellen Woolbert, he looked pretty good, huh? On the podium for you guys. What's his story?
It was nice, yeah. I don't think we've ever had a first-year guy get on the podium. He's an 8th grader. He works really hard. He does a great job, and he had some good matches and got on the podium.
It's good stuff.
Yes,
55 kilos. This was a bracket that we broke down. We had a whiteboard war on it. There's so many incredible wrestlers in this one, and the final was best of 3. And ended up there were 3 weight classes that went best of 3, and this was one of them. Jax Forrest, an 8th grader from North Carolina, wrestling at Bishop McCourt, ended up getting teched in match 1 against Nate Jezeroga. And Jezeroga was sort of on the path to that kind of a victory in match 2. Forrest able to turn the tides and then got it all the way done. And then we got a highlight plan of match number 3 where you can see Jezeroga getting that step out. He's so good in the hand fight and does it again. Ended up taking a 2-0 lead, but Jax Forrest was not going to be denied.
This last sequence, I feel like they called it correctly. I could have honestly went 2 points Forrest, 0 points Jezeroga on the last sequence that was coming up. I don't know how that initial ref said 4. I think maybe he thought that was what was going to happen before it actually happened. This one right here. Because Forrest clearly doesn't expose. He sits into him and gets the leg. There's no exposure there at all. So I like the 2. So I don't think it was 2 for Jezeroga there. I go 2 Forrest 0. Same outcome though, right? So I think they went 2-2, which
Yeah.
still has Forrest winning.
It's really a fun sequence to watch, and we're looking at it again. Jezeroga on the shot, and yeah, you're right. I mean, that 4 comes up pretty quick.
Yeah. I think sometimes these refs have like an assumption of what's going to happen before it happens. They kind of already got stuck in their brain, But yeah, there was no exposure there. Hey, speaking of the pushing by Jezeroga, I went and watched the Mason Gibson match last night. He got 6 push-outs on Mason. It was 6-1. He got 6 push-outs.
Yeah,
crazy.
You don't see a lot of U17 guys that have developed that much, that have focused that much on developing in the hand fight to just the pushing part and for freestyle. But Jezeroga, I mean, he does that, and he was probably a little too reliant on that in match 3 against Jax Forrest. I think he got rattled because of some of the sequences in match 2, and maybe didn't trust his leg attack. Should I just go to the push-out?
It felt like match 3, either Jezeroga's coaches or just he had in his mind, I don't want to get on his legs because of what happened in match 2.
Yeah.
But if you were to watch match 1 and watch match 2, it was like Jezeroga, you're gonna get on his legs, and you're gonna. That's where you're gonna score. That's where you're gonna finish, and I think he just got freaked out.
Yeah, Forrest is really bendy and kind of tricky. I watched a couple of his. I watched the Divino match, and I don't recall which other one right now. But yeah, I mean that first match, it was a tech fall, but I want to say, the first takedown was an 8-point sequence where he went kind of like a low double into a leg lace. I actually could have called that 10 because I thought he got the 2 and then he turned down and then he opened back up. So I could have actually went 10-0 in that first sequence for Jezeroga. But yeah, I think the low double ahead and side was probably where it was at. And yeah, but he got nervous after the second match. He didn't want to go back in there again.
Yeah.
If you're an Iowa fan and you're evaluating Nate Jezeroga as a recruit, I don't think anything changes in terms of your perception of him after this weekend. I mean, he's still he beat Cale Lauritsen, beat Mason Gibson, beat Jax Forrest once out of 3. I think he's still a very high prospect. Just got beat in that best of 3, and because he's a guy that's going to be a senior next year, that's thinking about wrestling at a high level, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him at the junior trials.
Because he's qualified, because he's a former cadet team member, right?
Yep.
But the weight class is larger, though, right? Because he would be
57.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And I wonder if anybody else is thinking that way. Jezeroga's one, though, that I think he wants to wrestle those college guys when as soon as he can. So kind of. I guess a little, maybe a kind of a young junior compared to you see some of these other like 8th grade and freshmen that are in U17.
If he's, any of these guys that still have cadet eligibility, they're headed into senior high school. They are definitely on the younger end because we have some of them that are going to finish their eligibility as freshmen, going to be sophomores.
Yeah, Davino was 3rd in this weight, beat Kilkiri, DeLuca, Oreen, Cale Peterson, and
that's path.
Crazy. It's almost everybody.
Yes.
And then Cale Peterson, who was 4th, he is a guy who is coming. He's I think going to raise his stock a lot. Just hasn't had the results recently. I mean, when he was younger, he was one of those guys that everybody was watching and talking about and paying attention to. But I think now after this weekend, you can tell he's focused a lot and improved a lot, and I think raised his stock quite a bit.
Yeah, he was tough. The Davino Forrest match was fun, kind of back and forth. I don't have the bracket in front of me right now. Obviously, I'm freaking outside my stupid freaking internet. It doesn't work. I didn't get to watch DeLuca and Davino, but did you guys watch that, and how did that go?
DeLuca and Davino. Let me try to remember if I watched it.
Davino obviously won. It was on the way back.
Davino.
I didn't get a chance to watch that one.
Yeah, that bracket was crazy. So many highly ranked matchups in that one. It's almost. I mean, 80's crazy. I mean, we'll get to 80, and I watched a lot of those matches because I was coaching them. But 80 was like, there were so many highly ranked dudes in that bracket.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get to that one too, but 55, just a couple other guys to mention. Drew Gorman, freshman from Georgia.
Yeah. Who's he?
He's a guy that we talked about last week that you got to watch because at Journeyman he beat the guy from Kazakhstan who knocked off Jezroga at Worlds last year. And so he had a really good weekend. He beat Mason Gibson on the backside of the bracket, which that's a pretty good win, and I think prove like he's going to be for real. Just a freshman, so he's got plenty of time to develop. But he beat Sam Herring, lost to Cale Lordson, then he beat Fargo champ Adrian Meza, beat Mason Gibson, and then ended up fifth. He had an injury to fault for fifth and sixth, but some good wins for him. And Georgia looked like a state that was kind of missing some of those high-level guys in that freshman and sophomore class, and he's going to be at least one of them.
I thought you said he was from Texas.
No, he's from Georgia.
Oh, Georgia. Oh, I misheard. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, really impressive. I mean, that guy continues to put together solid results. He beat Jake Kraps at Elite Eight duels. He's now got a nice little resume he's building for himself, just a freshman.
Nice.
60 kilos. Kyler Larkin. Kyler Larkin looked like
good, really good.
He's really good. He looked like he was wearing like an Eric Larkin Halloween costume. He had like the bleached hair. He was wearing the Sunkissed singlet. He had like the old. He had the old Sunkissed singlet. It was super cool. When I saw him earlier, I was like, man, this dude's dressed like your dad did at work.
Yeah.
He looked great. Holy cow.
I agree.
Yeah, he's a guy.
I'm in the bracket, so I can't run through the bracket, but he was destroying people.
I feel like he is like a really good matchup for a lot of even international wrestlers. Like the way that he scores points, his leg lace, he was really effective with that in the finals, especially. I feel like he can bring home a medal for sure.
He teched Omar Ayab, who's a Ohio State champ. He teched Zan Fugit, who made the Greco team and who's a top 10 guy in the country. Then he beat Tanner Frothinger, who's not. I don't know him super well.
That
Idaho
guy
kid.
Snuck in. He had a crazy win over. Who did Frothinger beat the round before that? Maybe.
Frothinger. Let me tell you, because it was a crazy win.
It was a crazy. I was at the mat. I can't remember who it was.
He beat. Who did he beat? He beat Matty Lopes, but I think he beat somebody else earlier.
Yeah, it was the Blair. Yeah, it was the Blair kid. That match was pretty wild.
But so then we were talking Larkin. He beat Dalton Perry in the best of three. So it's a nice weekend for Larkin, who, I think his Super 32 maybe wasn't great, and so he had kind of come out of the rankings, but looked outstanding. He's going to climb for sure. Freestyle is such a good style for him.
Well, I mean but the other thing that is what I was complaining about the Wisconsin thing yesterday, about where our guys all just moved down because we can't wrestle anybody. But they're at Valiant Prep and they don't compete in any of the in-season folk style tournaments, so he's just not getting a lot of opportunities against those guys. So and I think because of that, they probably start training freestyle a little bit earlier than the rest of the people do. So he was well ready, and obviously this is his opportunity to show out. And they had Valiant Prep had two. Right, they didn't get a junior, did they? The two cadets.
Two cadets.
Eric's other son made the finals.
Yes. Yeah, two cadets. I mean, two cadets from the same high school is pretty unheard of. Maybe not unheard of, but got to be rare.
Well, Sem has two, but that's I don't want to say they got one guy from Missouri and one guy from North Carolina, so maybe not the exact same concepts.
Yeah, two guys from North Carolina on this team.
For real, right? That's crazy.
That's nuts.
But North Carolina's getting robbed. They're getting pillaged by the state of Pennsylvania.
They're completely pillaged.
They're so pillaged. Anyone who's good in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, the whole state goes and steals them.
That's the goal, yeah. Pillage North Carolina. That's one of the.
That's how you build a kingdom.
60 kilos.
You would think that there could be one. Like the state of North Carolina has a lot of Division I wrestling. You would think there'd be one like Division One, North Carolina State or something graduate who goes and starts a private school and they can keep all the best kids in North Carolina home, but they're gone, getting pillaged.
Yeah, I think the way that the wrestling community thinks about the South is that like they treat like Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, like they're all just like one like little area, and it's such a massive area geographically. But I mean, it makes it really hard to. It's a bunch of good kids when you combine all those states.
Tennessee got pillaged too because the Herrings are from Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? There's someone else that left. That's from Tennessee.
Chittum left, and then he came, went back. But he doesn't go to school in Tennessee, so Tennessee doesn't, they don't have him in their state championship.
Yeah.
Who else? I think there's some other
I think there's a couple more that I'm blanking on right now, but yeah, Tennessee, North Carolina getting pillaged by Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay, so other than the pillaging going on, 65 kilos. 65 kilos was
pillaging.
Was it? Yeah, enough of the pillaging. 65 was another weight that went to the best of 3. Kasich and Adams. This series dates back because in the Fargo finals last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, last year these guys met in the Fargo finals, and Joel Adams won on like a buzzer beater.
Last second, was it a chest wrap or crotch lift? Or something? Mm-hmm.
And then so that was nuts. So Kasich gets revenge here in the best of 3. Adams took a match from him, but it was Kasich in the end, and that all 3 of the matches that went 3 were amazing. Came right down to the end. Kasich got it done, and I think really impressive for Tyler Kasich because as of maybe a year and a half ago, he was very folk style focused, freestyle. At this event last year, he didn't do super well. I don't think, and has made huge strides. Was Fargo finalist last year, and now on this cadet world team at 65 kilos, which was another very, very tough weight. So good job for Kasich.
Mm-hmm.
Who did he beat? Kasich had.
What's the kid from Ohio that was really good? Brock Herman.
Brock Herman.
Yes, he's good.
Yep. He beat Brock Herman in a really good match. 6-5. No, it was a fall. He was up 6-5, and then he got a fall. Then he beat Zach Hansen, who had double stop signs last year, and then split those matches with Joel Adams. So good performance there from Kasich. 65. I'm trying to see if there's anything else too crazy that happened. Pearson Manville was 3rd, Hansen 4th, Herman 5th. That's a very, very tough top 5.
I believe it was Manville. I believe Manville and Adams wrestled in the semis, and it was pretty contentious. But I thought all the calls were correct.
Yeah.
What did you think about PJ Duke going up to 65?
I have a feeling that, like, when a guy goes up that he's registered at one weight and then wrestles a different weight, then sometimes it means that something didn't go according to plan along the way.
Yeah.
Which is probably not a great sign for how he's going to perform. He was 4-2 at the event, lost to Brock Herman. Herman teched him in 45 seconds.
He lost to somebody on the front side that I didn't know because I saw the match happening. I was getting ready to coach on the other mat. And then I was like, who is that dude that's beating PJ Duke? And then I looked him up, and I did not know him.
Yeah, Gabriel Boysu. He's from Rhode Island. He is legit. He's very,
Rhode
very
Island.
tough.
He's getting pillaged real quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This guy's getting pillaged. This guy's getting pillaged.
There's actually, I don't know, has there ever been a good wrestler from Rhode Island?
I think there have been some ranked guys, but I don't think.
Really?
Nationally ranked. Yeah, there are a handful of nationally ranked guys, but not like over the course of time, but not a lot at once. Wow, Kozak's getting some FRL questions that are surprising. So yeah, but the thing is, he beat PJ Duke, but then didn't place. He lost, but his losses were Jace Roller and Joel Adams. So Boysu, he'll be fine. He's just a sophomore. He was 5th at NHSCA's. He won the New England Championships. Whatever. He's pretty good.
Who did Roller lose to for 7th and 8th? I watched the match, but I'm blanking on who it was right now.
Vince Bouzakis.
Yeah, got it. Nice.
So
Tough
Vince
bracket.
Buzakis was another guy that was registered at 61 and then ended up at 65. So
I think it's just one of those things where, I mean, it's kind of like if you're a 138 pounder, you're like, oh yeah, I can make the next weight class. It's essentially the next weight class down, right? Oh, I can make that, no problem. And then maybe you start cutting, and you're like, oh man, that's a little more than I expected. That's a little further away than I expected. And so then, going up, you don't even have to go up to 145 because it's 143. So, yeah, I mean, that makes it a little trickier for the cadets because they're not normal weight classes that they have.
it is tricky, and especially when you're making that decision the week of the event, like a couple days before. It just, I don't know.
Yeah.
You've been preparing your body to get smaller, and then now you're getting bigger. So, Anyway, Joel Adams though, man, that guy is so fun to watch because he's like not Musakayev level, but like he's got the ability to do things athletically that so many people can't do. But then he also has the ability to give up points and make things exciting for the other guy. So his matches end up being some of the most.
I thought you were saying he was taking lungers, but I don't remember him taking any lungers.
Not lungers, just little mistakes or just little like tactical.
Well, when you say Musakayev, that's what makes a man think.
He was taking his time getting back to the center of the mat for a little bit. He would like walk around. Yeah, like pull his knee pad down, pull it back up, something like that. Where David Taylor was in.
Not like this next weight class, though. I mean, we talked about a couple guys yesterday, but the semi on the next weight class was so absurd.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't really know who they are because I haven't watched them wrestle before. But I was coaching like opposite, so I'm on this mat and they're over there, and then I was going to coach there next. And it was like, I remember looking over, like, what is going on over? What is even happening right now?
We got a scoring highlight from that one. You got to see.
We need Tyler to get that.
Oh my God,
ready to go.
It's got to be absurd, right?
It's that Ladarian Lockett, KJ Evans match. We'll get to that one in a second for sure. That semi was nuts, and then Joe Seeley.
Nuts.
Joe Seeley had Evans in the finals, and he had the same thing. Let's go there because 71 kilos. The semifinal with KJ Evans and Ladarian Lockett was like 30 plus points on the board. It could have gone either way. These are two Oklahoma guys.
It seemed like they're buddies maybe after the match too, or like the coaches were kind of like, sometimes with in-state stuff, it's like there's a real rivalry. They hate each other, but in this one, it seemed to me that they maybe were buddies, but I'm not sure.
Was there a chance this was all staged then, just to get us to talk about it on FRL?
I don't know, because there's some real emotion. There's some real emotion in this match. But so I mean, to set the stage, Ladarian Lockett, he's just a freshman this year. He's like a top 5, top 10 type of big board guy. And when so he's like, the up and comer. He goes to Stillwater High School, which is like right now the power program in Oklahoma. And so he's that guy, right? But KJ Evans he's a little older. He goes to Heritage Hall High School, like Tulsa area, and was a Fargo champ last year, 16U. And so he's had a lot of success as well. But Lockett is the guy that has a little more shine on him. Evans is an Oklahoma commit. He's a junior in high school, but Lockett's probably the guy that's a little more prominent in the state, even though he's younger. And the match was super fun, scoring and all these different positions. So maybe they don't like each other. Maybe I was misreading things. Maybe they used to. Maybe they used to. I don't know. But yeah, once Tyler gets this pulled up, we'll show you the highlight. That semi was wild, and then what it set up was a Joe Seeley KJ Evans final, and Evans was doing the same like injury time tactics on the edge of the mat, and Joe Seeley we talked about it yesterday, just went back to the center of the mat and was sitting crisscross applesauce in the middle, just waiting for him. And he did it in both matches. He did it in match 1 and match 2. But he just had no time to wait for the injury to get better. He just, I'm going to sit down. The rest of this weight, I didn't think there was a lot that was super crazy. It was oddly not as deep as some of the other weight classes, even though there are a lot of really good guys in this range.
Yeah. So my guy Zane Lick came out of nowhere, took 4th place. But when I did go back and look through, I kind of figured at this weight class he would have had to beat somebody ranked, but he didn't. I don't think he beat anyone that was ranked. Obviously, his losses were Sealy and Lockett, who were both really high level guys.
Yeah.
And the Lockett one was very, very competitive. Yeah, but really good bracket, but maybe guys who, so then I went and looked at the rankings. It's like there's so many seniors in the 145 through 160, 70 range. So I'm sure once those clear out later this summer, a whole bunch of these guys are going to be in the rankings and they'll become more household names.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Licht, what's his story?
State champ and just, man, I don't know. I kind of like, this is kind of breakout performance for him. He's got a lot of good tools and kind of put them all together and wrestled really hard all weekend and had a lot of good results.
That's awesome. All right, let's take a look at this semifinal. These are just scoring highlights, Evans and Lockett. And some of the officiating on the edge was a little odd to me.
Lockett would do Lockett. Oh, give me a pause. Lockett on the edge was like against Zane. I swore Zane had him 3 or 4 times. Lockett was so freaking slick on the edge. Like I was annoyed because my guy was giving up points, but at the same time I was like, holy shit, that was good. Like, wow.
Yeah, and so some of the edge stuff that happened in this one, and we can roll it, Tyler, whenever you're ready. The first position here, Lockett tries to roll through, but ends up giving up the points, and KJ Evans gets this lace to go. No, he doesn't get it to go, and then Evans takes him to the mat out of bounds, and then they call Lockett for like fleeing, and they put him back down in parterre. It's bizarre.
Some of these caution ones are obnoxious, Mr. Bray. Mm-hmm. They're ridiculous. Like that was he just laid down. That was what he was supposed to do.
He was just defending the gut. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yep. So yeah, we're looking at it again. I mean, he
doesn't dive or anything. He just lays down.
Yeah, and I don't even know if his head touched. It's just Evans is the one that took him forward, and then as a result, Evans gets his opportunity on top and gets this turn in parterre. But then it ends up evening out a little bit because Lockett's going to get a score on the edge, and they call it the same way. So they go here, they go 4 for Lockett.
4. Oh, that was nice.
And then Lockett's working on this lace, gets it to go, and then like same exact thing, and they put him down. So
he didn't do nothing. This, when they make that call drives me crazy. I don't know why they do that. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, this is a pretty crazy move here. 4 points, but they called that 2. It was definitely feet to back.
Yeah,
they called it 2. Ends up with another turn. So first period officiating was a little bizarre. But keep in mind, they've been wrestling for like a minute 15, and they're already 17 points on the board.
Uh-oh.
All right, so this is where it starts to get crazy. Yeah, they go. So this is Evans now goes in the lead. He gets 4 and 2. Yeah, but then Lockett like hustles back to the center, and then he sees that Evans is injured. It's kind of annoying, whatever. But now they go back to the edge, and this time Lockett. This is the part that's so funny. Lockett runs back to the center, like foot on the line, and then he looks back and he sees Evans is taking injury time again. He's just like he just flops over. He's so frustrated. He just falls over. But after this, Lockett felt like he had to go big and expose himself.
Man, usually when guys start taking injury time, even though they're getting injury time, they still kind of fall apart a little bit. So it's interesting that Lockett was the one that had the lead. And he because he was up 5, and then he kind of got smashed a little bit in the second period.
Yeah, he took off after that one, but 22-14 is a lot of points for a 4-minute match.
Yes,
very good win for KJ Evans. So that's good stuff. But Joe Seeley is the story here. Mm-hmm. He's number 1 in the class of 2024. I don't think I think he kind of showed that, showed why he is. So he looked really good.
Very good, yeah.
80
Another
kilos.
guy that just, well, both Lockett and Seeley, because the Zane wrestled both of them. Zane was putting himself in good positions, but they're both super slick with like the underhook, overhook battle on the edges, and just were really tricky there.
Mm-hmm. What year is Licht?
He's sophomore, junior, maybe sophomore.
Okay.
One of the two.
All right.
Yeah, he's had good results. Like he took, say, 3rd. He lost to Hunter Garver, took 3rd at the high school showcase, state champ. But just not. I mean, right? This tournament to me, and I said this earlier show. To me, this tournament is like as hard as it gets. Maybe Super 32 could potentially be harder. And so, taking really anyone All-American in this tournament is pretty high level.
For sure. 80 kilos is a weight class that was deeper than most. And Zach Ryder came out on top. I didn't think – I mean, Ryder was moving up in weight. He's one of those guys that was a little bit caught in between weight classes. I thought he looked every bit powerful enough to wrestle 80 kilos. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately for AWA guys,
we lost 3 in a row to this dude. It was no good.
Man. And, I mean, the guys that he
definitely
beat,
was not being overpowered. He was very strong.
The guys that he beat were – he had – I mean, sometimes, I don't know, a guy sneaks in the finals or whatever. Zach Ryder had to run the gauntlet. He beat Gabe Arnold. He beat Aiden Sinclair. He beat Connor Mirasola. He put 3 of the toughest guys in the whole bracket. What stood out to you about him?
No, he was just super strong. So definitely not undersized. Controlled center really well, and we had in the 3 matches we had a really hard time getting to his legs consistently. Sinclair started to do it kind of later in the second period, but Mirasola couldn't really get to his legs cleanly. I don't think I want to say not at all, but not much.
Ryder is, I think we have him 6th on the big board, and man, he's
which class is he?
2024. He's just a sophomore.
Sophomore, okay.
So he's one of those guys that in June, when the phone lines open up, I think just about every program in the country is going to be interested in getting their hands on this guy. He I don't want to say he's had like up and down performances, but he was 5th at Super 32, where a lot of people thought he could win it, and lost.
At which weight class?
At 152.
Okay, got it.
He lost there to Jonathan Lay and Joe Seeley, who are both obviously really good. But he had beaten last year. He had Seeley's number. He beat him a couple times, and so it's like, So those guys kind of I feel like switched in terms of my perception of them, and then it's like, well, okay, where is Zach Ryder? Is he trending down or what? I mean, no, definitely not. He I think just needed a bigger weight class and has grown into that, and it looked great in a very tough weight.
Yeah, but I mean, Jude Cray was in this weight class. Both my guys were able to get a win over him, which he's really high level. And then Arnold obviously lost to Ryder and then defaulted out. I don't really know why, but to me that's not a great sign when someone doesn't want to wrestle the second day. And I can't think he was cutting a lot of weight for this weight class because he's wrestled lower generally than this. Who else was really good here? I don't have the bracket in front of me, but there's a bunch of other really good guys here.
Dashiell Lamer was 4th in this weight class.
Yep.
He was like Ryder. He was coming up from 160, and so
he looked plenty big though. He did not look small.
No, he looked fine, and it makes sense, right? His dad's a big dude.
Yeah, very big.
Luke Venadia was 6th.
He got DQ'd against who did he lose? Oh, he lost to Lamer, and then they kicked him out.
What happened? I didn't see that.
I don't know. We were watching the match because Sinclair was going to wrestle the winner, and it was like a 9-8 or 9-7 or something, and we didn't see. We were far away, so we couldn't see. It wasn't a punch or anything. He must have cussed at someone, and they gave him a red card.
Okay, I saw there was no contest in that 6th place match, so I didn't know 5th, 6th. I didn't know what happened. But the match on the backside with Correa and Aiden Sinclair, the officiating was bonkers in that one.
But not good. I was there. I only threw 2 bricks all weekend. And I was very unhappy about that call because to me it was so obvious, and even the other corner, McKnight and Cornell, they were laughing about how bad it was.
Yeah.
And so then I figured, well, I threw a block and they went to review, and I figured, the camera must not have got it because surely if the camera was on it, it's really obvious.
And the camera
and I go
was
back
on
and
it.
I watch, and it was really obvious. The referee is literally pointing at the foot that is out of bounds.
Yeah.
But then the referee on the mat never calls the point. The guy on the other side, the other judge, calls the point, but the referee on the mat never called the point. So that was actually a 6-point swing because, he gets the 4 plus the 1 for the lost challenge, and we should have had the 1.
Yep.
And I don't know what the review judge was doing.
Instead of 4-1, it ended up 9-0. But Aiden Sinclair still able to come back, and that it ended up making for like one of the more exciting finishes to any match that I watched, even though it shouldn't have been that close to begin with. But that was really fun. So those guys look. I think that whole top 6 looked very, very tough.
Agreed. Yeah.
But
Who else?
Ryder's the
Who
one
was
who.
7th and 8th in that one?
It was Cole, Han Lindemeyer, and Dial Capone VZ.
Oh yeah. I mean, those guys are pretty tough too. I watched them in several matches, and they both did a pretty good job.
They do, and they're especially Dial Capone is just a freshman this year. What a name! It's an incredible name.
It really is.
It's a great name. We saw that a couple years ago. Like, man, I hope this kid gets good because his name is just it's amazing.
For real.
92 kilos, the best of three.
This was a good weight class too.
Holy cow! This weight was nuts. Max McAnally won the whole thing.
He's really good.
Yeah, he is. He beat Camden McDaniel in the finals. And talking with Andy Hamilton, I knew he was good last year when he won Fargo, but Andy pointed out like he's got just more athletic tools than I realized he had. I thought of him as a guy with a lot of power, but just he's got a lot more than just that. I think he's got a lot of room to grow in terms of tactics, but
he moves well, he attacks well. Yeah, he's powerful. Yeah, he's good.
Really good. He beat McDaniel in the finals. McCray Haggerty beat Sawyer Bartle for third. I think McCray Haggerty is a guy that probably raised his stock. He's big. Huge. Yeah. Nathan Taylor beat Austin Johnson for fifth, and then Cole Mirasola over Max Venadia for seventh. Very deep bracket. And I mean...
Oh, and Cody Merrill defaulted out of this one, right?
Yeah, what happened with Merrill?
He lost to Sawyer Bartlett, and then just like Gabe Bartlett, he lost to Sawyer Bartlett. Well, Gabe didn't lose to Sawyer Bartlett. Gabe lost to he lost to Ryder, and then just didn't show up the next day for weigh-ins.
Yeah. Cody Merrill 2-1. That Sawyer Bartlett match was 1-1. It was, you don't see a lot of boring matches in this tournament, but that one was.
Yeah, I mean, Merrill's obviously more defensively oriented, and Bartle's really reliant on getting the underhooks and pushing. And so I could see that one being definitely like two guys just ramming their heads together and not because both of them know if they pull the trigger on a more risky attack, it's more likely going to hurt them than help them.
Yeah. So what we end up with in this weight range is we have a bunch of guys that are really, really good, and they're still young. They have a bunch of years of high school left. Yep. And I think what we're going to see as a result is what we've seen in the last few weeks, which is that a guy can have an outstanding weekend, and then the next event, it might be another guy that's going to have the good weekend. And that's going to make for, I think, some fun rivalries and cool results. It was Sawyer Bartle at the Elite Eight duels. He beat Sonny Sasso twice, beat TJ Stewart, beat somebody else really good. This week it was Max McAnally, and who knows who it'll be the next time.
But part of it though, aren't these guys are going to separate? Like some of these guys are 95 and some of these guys are 220s.
Mm-hmm.
So like we actually probably likely won't see these guys compete very much against each other, because then when they go to the junior level, they have 189 and then 202 and then 213. So and I kind of honestly I think that's too many weight classes for the juniors, but for the cadets it feels like too few. I mean, like a guy like Cole Mirasola, for example, I think he weighed in at 191 or something.
Yeah.
Right. And the weight class is 202. Like, and obviously, so 176 would be a really large cut. Plus his brother was there. But, to him, I was saying there's other guys your size. There's other guys who are in the same situation as you where they're, 176 is a really long ways away. But 202 is like, oh my God, these guys are huge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They could definitely separate. Right now, the bulk of them are 95 pounders, but I could definitely, especially some of these guys, their high school season, it doesn't make any sense to cut weight, period. So 220 is fine, whatever. So they will separate, but I do think we're going to see a lot of these guys for a long time, and they're going to, maybe they're not all going to be in the same field, but we're going to see these matchups for a while.
Well, yeah, because then in college, to your point, in college, it does shrink back, right? So in freestyle, it's 189, 202, 213, but then in college, it's 197, then heavyweight for someone this size. And so it's like, okay, or maybe one of them shrinks and stays at 184. But other than that, it's like, none of these guys are super tall and look like really immature where they're going to go definitely like, that guy's going to be a heavyweight for sure. I don't really feel that way about kind of anyone in this grouping.
Yeah, I didn't either. All right, 110. Coy Hopke, the guy's a monster.
He's good, huh?
He really is. And match 2 of the best of 3, Carter Neves was able to score. I mean, it looked like, oh man,
he kind of wore himself out though after the
well,
first
Neves
period.
blew it though because he took the second trap out of bounds. He should have went the other way and saw if he could have finished it. I mean, that was from a strategical standpoint, really bad move because he got the first trap really easily, right? And then the second one, when okay, if he goes over to I think it was to the right. If he goes to the right, he's going out of bounds. And Hopkins kicked your butt the first match, so you better freaking try to milk this trap for all it's worth. Take it back left. Give yourself some take it back left and see if you can't turn him a few more times and finish the match. Hopke is ridiculously good. He was one of those guys, so I'm naturally skeptical. And I didn't really watch him when he was younger, but he did compete against our guys a handful of times. And I always thought, okay, no, there's no way this guy's that good. And then I got to watch him at cadet duels because I coached a team. And dude, he's really freaking good.
Yeah, outstanding.
Yeah,
and he's obviously a premier heavyweight.
Yeah.
110 kilos means that some of the heavyweights, the high school heavyweights, aren't going to have a weight class for this event, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Would have been fun to see him with a big guy like Navarro Shunky, but I'm sure we'll see that match soon enough.
Well, he's a guy we talked about the last weight class where they're going to go. Like I believe he only weighs 210 to 215.
Really?
So yeah, I don't think he's definitely not cutting for 220. And I don't think he wrestled 195 this year because I think his brother was at that weight class, if I remember correctly.
He was 220 in high school this year.
Yeah, so I think his brother was at 195, so he didn't wrestle that because of that reason. He's not a guy, though, I think he's going to have to grow to be a real heavyweight. Otherwise, if he doesn't grow at all, he's a 197.
Really?
I think so. I mean, when I look at him, I think, okay. I think, hey, there's probably a good chance this dude grows. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't, he's not, like the guy you said that was a South Dakota kid, right?
Shunky, yeah.
He's from Legends of Gold, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He is freaking enormous.
Yeah, he's got no chance
Massive.
to make 110 kilos.
No
chance.
Yeah. So when you get a guy like that, and you look at Hopke, Hopke's gonna have to do some growing, and obviously we know for the heavyweights, they don't need to be 285 to win. But if you're not, say, 235 to 250, somewhere in there, you're gonna struggle with the size.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so thinking about this 2024 big board, these phones are going to start ringing soon. For guys that were in the tournament, I'm just curious from you, Ben. Quick, are they where they should be? Are they too high? Are they too low? Number one in 2024.
Let's go down the list. I'll tell you, because you haven't updated the big board yet, correct?
Not since this event. So Joe Seeley's number one. That seems about
really
right.
Good. Yeah, he's really good. Oh, here we go. You got on the screen. Ferrari wasn't there. Mason Gibson's obviously going to move down given his performance. I mean, but I think he's still really good, obviously. Shunky wasn't there. Davino probably stays about there.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I actually did. Oh, no, I think I was opposite. I think I said something really stupid a couple weeks ago because I think I said 2025 was really good, but now you look at this list and you're like, oh, man, Ryder's good. Lilidal's good. Hopke's good.
Yeah.
Kind of go down this list. There's a lot of them that are really high level. Kyler Larkin all the way down to 17. Damn, he's good.
Yeah, he feels like he may be climbing up a little bit. But yeah, a lot of these guys, they seem like they're probably right around where they're going to be. Sawyer Bartelt. I think the thing with Bartelt is after Elite Eight duels is like, oh, maybe this guy's separating himself from the pack. And now I still think he's great, but it's the pack is a little closer to him than I had thought previously.
I mean, one thing that I was so I think this age group is really important. I think I've said that twice on the show already, but I went back. I don't remember why I started thinking about this, but I went back and I looked at 2016. I just want to see how many of these guys have had high-level college success, and we're only around 30%. And even by high level, I mean, like if they're an NCAA qualifier or Division I counted them.
Yeah.
So, even as good as the cadet trials is, there's still going to be a large portion of them who separate or who fall off. or whatever.
So you were looking at the
which-
2016 like podium or what?
Correct, the top 8. And then Max said Super 32 was worse. So I looked at 2016 Super 32, and Max was right. It was worse. It was like 24% or something to that effect who were having decent level of college success. So yeah, I mean, like guys separate, guys fall off, and that's what I mean. I hate. Now I'm gonna get another soapbox. I just hate that the college recruiting and commitment thing starts so early, because I feel like it's a hindrance to both athletes and college coaches to be forced to do that. But when every other college coach is doing it, they're kind of forced to. But then the second part of that is it creates a disloyalty because you're forced to go recruit someone or be recruited as such a young person. If your fortunes then change, which if you start from a sophomore, they're more likely to change than if you start later on. Then the college program will find I heard a hilarious one, which I'm not going to throw under the bus. I heard a hilarious one of why a college said that they couldn't get the kid into school this week. That was just totally ridiculous. They said his transcript had too many tardies, and that's why they pulled his scholarship.
No.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I'll tell you who off the show. Someone brought it up to me. Like, yeah, this kid, he had too many. They alleged he had too many tardies, so they pulled his scholarship. I'm like, I don't think that should have been that way. But anyways, so yeah, so when the recruiting process starts too early, you're gonna have a lot of people's fortunes change, both college, from the college level and the athlete level.
Yeah.
And so it creates a disloyalty because you're not going to find what you need, or you're less likely to, because people are going to change.
It's a good point. We just think about how we think about high school wrestlers during the course of their careers. If somebody's having good success as a freshman or sophomore, it's like, wow, that guy's having really good success and he's still so young.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys were all these guys we're talking about 2024, they're sophomores, and now all of a sudden it goes from they're sophomores, wow, they're having success, to now it's U17, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, get them into a college program. Like what changed? It was yesterday they were young guys having success, now they're guys that we want to commit to places. It just happens immediately. Pretty wild.
Yeah. So and I mean, I think probably the colleges are definitely more guilty than the athletes, because the colleges do this gimmick like, oh, here's your offer, and it's only good for one more week. And you're like, oh, God, effing eye roll on this one. You're just trying to use your pressure as a college coach to pressure the athlete to make a decision that they're not really sure that they want to make at this point. Obviously, there needs to be a balance there, because the athlete doesn't want to leave the college, because the college, they say they need a 174. They need a 174 whether they can get person X or not. And so if person X leaves on the hook for a year, right, they should probably be recruiting somebody else instead, spending time with somebody else. So it's not fair to leave them on the hook forever. But at the same time, like when they do this, like the offer is only good for another week, it's happened to plenty of my athletes. It freaking annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah, that's annoying for sure.
All right, David Ray, gun to your head. Who you calling? Get one person on the list. Who you calling?
Joe Seeley.
Joe Seeley.
Yeah.
Kozak. Who you calling?
Lilladol.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What about you? Who are you calling?
I can't participate in this because I have too many guys that are either
You're Shane Sparks and us on this one?
I'm Shane Sparks and you, because I don't want any of my guys to get grumpy over something I don't have to do.
Yeah.
I'll call all my AWA guys, because that's what I get to do.
Yeah. I'm calling Joe Seeley for two reasons. One, I love his offense.
Yes.
I love his mentality, and I have a hole at 157. That's the only hole in my lineup. That's it.
I mean, if you put that list back up, though, I don't know that there's a lot of wrong answers yet. I don't feel like there's one. Even on Joe Seeley, I think that's a fair number one. But so I'll give you a group that I think like college coaches could see them as like program changers: Seeley, Lilladol, Hopke, Ryder, Davino. I mean, those guys are, and obviously I think highly of any guy that I coach, but those guys are guys who, like, performance last weekend, and I know Davino was the only one I listed that lost there, but he was, and honestly, I would go all the way down to Kyler Larkin. I think Kyler Larkin, like, he really impressed me a lot too. So any of those guys, I don't really think you could go wrong with them.
Totally agree. Well, we only have 5 minutes left because Tyler's kicking us out at 9:30. So let's get to
Damn
a
it,
couple
Tyler.
questions. I know. We got some stuff, NIL stuff to talk about maybe tomorrow, some other things. But we got a few questions, just a handful in here.
I got to
and
pee so bad, too. Thank God
All
we're
right.
done 5 minutes early.
Yeah, good stuff. Somebody, Average Seed, asked, how does the level of competition at the U.S. Open this year compare to other years? I mean, it was not
Terrible.
not good, not close. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but the incentive system was not the same as years past. There was no waiting out to Final X, no major incentive, and so it was pretty down.
Yeah, they need to reevaluate that.
Yes,
for sure.
All right, which wrestler from the women's division, in your opinion, is the heaviest favorite to win at the World Team Trials from the U.S. Open? I think there's one answer. I think it's Jakara Winchester. I think that's the answer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Emma Bruntill wants to know biggest upset in the women's division. I don't know about singular upset, but in terms of a whole overall performance, Felicity Taylor went in without a seed. She's tough, from Iowa, somebody that I think for a while people have expected to be a difference maker, a factor. But she won the whole thing. She beat world medalist and Alyssa Lampe in the finals. So for me, it's Felicity Taylor. I don't know, Kozak, you saw somebody else.
I was impressed with Nenea Estrella against XMP in the finals. She kind of controlled that match. I think she's going to Iowa, too.
Okay.
So that's worth noting.
Cool. All right. Ben's got a plan for this one. Vince Santi Steven wants to know, does Dayton go 133 with RBY returning? And if so, does he lose in the finals again? So it's a two-part question. Does he go 33? Ben, is it 41? Is that going to happen? You going to make it happen?
I think 41 makes the most sense for Dayton and for the team. So I don't see why it shouldn't happen. That being said, it's John Smith. John Smith does not like people moving up in weight class, so I don't really foresee it happening. And, man, I mean, I feel like at this point you'd have to be either a homer or an idiot to say Dayton's going to beat him again.
Yeah. I'm curious. Yeah, right now, given the data we have, that makes sense. And the thing that makes it tough to pick Dayton is that even if we see something outstanding in this offseason from Dayton, we did last year too. He looked incredible.
He was the world silver medalist.
He looked incredible. He looked amazing.
Yes.
So right now it does. It feels like an RBY pick.
Yes.
Unless something crazy happens. Okay. All right. Kozak, I think you have an opinion about this. Matt Skanga wants to know who wins, Prime Reza Yazdani or Sadylayev.
I mean, my opinion is pretty simple. It's Sadylayev.
Sadylayev.
Yeah, I don't think it's that close either.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Reza Yazdani, you can't trust him to not have a heart attack after the World Cup. That's a great story. If you guys didn't hear that story, World Cup, USA is wrestling Iran. Reza Yazdani gets off the mat, and then someone tells him, "Hey, we got to take you back here." He's like, "Why? Where are we going?" They're like, "It's USADA. It's a USADA drug test." He's like, "Oh, my heart!" And it take him to the hospital. So he didn't get the opportunity to participate in the
Wait,
in the drug test.
he actually got out of the test? I never heard that.
Yes, he got out of the test. It's a great way to get out of the test.
Yeah, Iranians, they're totally clean.
Yeah. He's got a new heart out of it, too.
Yes. Just glad he survived.
Wow.
Matt Turner, this is probably the last question we have time for. This is a question for Ben from Matt Turner. If there were no limits to years of eligibility in college beginning in 2008, how many years in a row is Ben Askren national champ? Who eventually bumps him off? And then how many degrees would you have?
A lot. I would say a lot. Because it was Keith, and then it was Stephen Luke, and then it was Borschel, and then it was Reeder. I think I got that order right. And then who was after that?
Was it Ed Ruth?
Yeah. Was that Ed Ruth? It was Ed Ruth next. Yeah, Ed Ruth's fun. That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, quite a few. I actually got one of the things I feel guilty for in my life, and I try not to feel guilty for too many things, because if I feel guilty, I just try to right the wrong. I got a scholarship to go for my master's degree at Missouri from the athletic department, and I got 6 credits done, and then the next semester I was traveling to Russia a whole bunch, right? It was a fall of my. So I did 6 credits while I was a senior still, and then I was supposed to then go back, and I just said, hey, I'm going to Russia like 2 or 3 times. I can't go, and then I'm like, dude, I can't go back to school. I freaking hate that place. I'm not going back to school. So I left their scholarship with them. So some other athlete in the athletic department could have had that, and I didn't use it, and that was I shouldn't have done that. I mean, at the time, I thought I was going to use it, and then I didn't. So I feel guilty about that.
All right. Well, so who knows? Maybe you would have just been scooping up all the scholarships and getting no degrees. You just had one. So I implicated yourself on that, but I think that
Yes.
it's good to know. All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Tyler's kicking us out of the studio, but we'll be back tomorrow. We've got more to talk about, I'm sure. We don't know what. NIL. Maybe Gable news.
Oh, we better have some Gable news. Let's go.
I hope we have some Gable news. Happy 4th of May. Happy Gable decision today. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.